So thinking about that, having had my beautiful Zoe recently just turn 18, and thinking about who I was at that time, and also it ties in with um, the fact that I've got my 30-year school reunion next month. Thinking about who I was when I left school at 17, and I had that fabulous deep sense of excited anticipation for launching myself into the adult world. But tied in with that was a very sad feeling of not being good enough, of actually having done, not being successful, not being part of anything because I didn't have strong social connections. I didn't have strong friendships. I always felt fairly alone, not good enough, not worthy. I was that person who was never picked for the team or always picked last, the not wanted, not included, not connected. And I had all sorts of walls up that I think I was keeping people away, not because I wanted to, but just because I didn't feel good enough or worthy to be connected. And so launching myself into adult life with that way of being really reflected what happened from there, which meant that I drank my way to confidence, and I became very grateful for any man that ever showed me affection. So it wasn't so much about whether they were the right person for me or whether they were really a magical, amazing person, but just the fact that they liked me meant that they were good enough. And I see this in other people. We look externally all the time for this validation for who we are, that we're good enough or not. And I did that for years and years, and living reactively, just doing whatever life threw at me. And unfortunately, that meant that I ended up in a marriage with somebody um, who wasn't the right partner for me. And that living reactively, it meant that we just kind of ticked the boxes. We got pregnant, and so we bought a house and we got married, and I found myself with four beautiful, beautiful children. But sadly, it wasn't enough, and I still wasn't enough. So my husband left. He literally packed a bag and walked away, and I had four children under 8. And it was at that time, even though there was a deep grief that went with that period for about a year, a grief of not being good enough, of not being worthy of sticking with, it was actually, in hindsight, a massive gift, because it was a time when I had to step into responsibility. I had to work out who I wanted to be in the world and grow up. And so I did. And I remember a beautiful time when I was sitting on a veranda. We were living on a farm, and I remember sitting on the veranda with my camera, taking photos of these wild, vibrant, happy, beautiful children that were actually racing around the garden it was just this magical time. All the colours were vibrant, their clothes were vibrant colours, and they just looked so healthy and happy. And it was at that moment I can remember thinking, oh my gosh, I've actually done this. I've created this. And from there, my confidence started to grow. Of course, there were forward and back, but it was finally me waking up as a woman and working out who I was in the world. And I had done lots of work around nutrition and naturopathy and functional nutrition, because I loved bringing vitality into our lives through what Mother Nature provides. And I always imagined that was what I was going to do with my life. But as much as I did every course, and I tried and tried to continue consuming knowledge so that I would one day know enough, be enough to then be able to pass that on to other people in the world. It just never worked. There was always a barrier of not knowing enough yet, not being good enough. And so I just kept consuming more and more information. And it wasn't until I, one day randomly, this wonderful woman came into my news feed and I watched her webinar, got very drawn to her heart-centered way of being and what she talked about as a coach. I felt like I could work with it. It was really, really scary because I had invested so much money in so many different things that had never worked. And so I was starting to, like question my gut instinct, that gut feeling that, is like, yes, this is going to work for you. But I did. And it was at that time that I can remember I had to put the investment on my credit card, and it was that scary moment and just like, press send, and I just did it. And that's when I first started working with my coach that I've been, working with her in her company for about 18 months now. And it was from there that A League of Extraordinary Mothers was born. And it was such a magical time. And I had my first show that went out that was for mums with teenage girls. And from there it just grew, and there were 2 more series. And it was all about really supporting mums to feel good enough. My passion to support mothers to feel proud of the life they are living. This is what lights me up. And from there, I kept receiving these emails from dozens and dozens, probably hundreds of women. There's been about 8,000 women that have gone through A League of Extraordinary Mothers. And the emails that I kept receiving were, oh my goodness, thank you. I'm so inspired and I feel so empowered, and it's just been so wonderful. But then the follow on from that was that they had all this information, and I started to recognize that the missing piece was the support and accountability and the mindset to actually bring all that inspiring, empowering information to life. And that's where I started to share what I have done with building a vision for what I want in my life, and then step by step bringing that vision to life. I started to share that with other women and found that that was the missing piece. So when I'm working with my beautiful, amazing private clients that have just done so many fabulous things, we create this fabulous vision for what it is they want to create in the year ahead. And then step by step, with love and support in an amazing, safe environment, we get to bring that vision to life. And that is where the magic happens. So I decided that, there's only so much time. And so what I've decided to do is to bring together a group of women, a small, intimate group of women, where we can pull our wisdom and create this amazing space where we build a magical vision for 2020, which I believe is going to be a really monumental, magical year for most of us, all of us. And we get to create a vision for that year and then bring that vision to life with the support and accountability to absolutely make sure that that happens. So that's where I came up with the Clear, On Purpose and On Fire Mastermind that launches on the 14th of October, and I have just a handful of spaces left for that. So lounging back here in Los Angeles, I've made a gorgeous new friend who's adopted me for this time while I'm here. I am taking this opportunity in these last couple of weeks to just let you know what this is about, and so that we can connect and I can invite you into this space. So there's 2 ways that I'm going to do this, and the only way into this mastermind is via invitation, because I want to make sure that all the women in there are a perfect fit to ensure that this works. So what we're going to do is hop on a call, you and I'm also going to do a question and answer next week, and all the information will be with this video to sign up for that. But it'll just be a meeting, a virtual meeting space where we can see each other. You can ask me questions. I can continue to tell you more about what's going to be involved. So it can be via that meeting, or if you are an eager beaver like me and just love to hop in because your heart is like, this sounds amazing, then I'm going to pop a link in here so that you can book a call straight to my calendar, and we can hop on a call together and just see if this program is a great fit for you. I would love to connect, so don't hesitate and reach out. Okay, that's it from me for now. Much love. Bye for now.